Greetings and salutations, and welcome back to another exciting podcast of Flibber Jabber. I really love doing these podcasts. I really do. It's just today was special because I forgot I had to still record an episode for this week. It is currently Friday, going on Saturday, which is coming up rapidly close to the deadline of when I needed to record this, make sure it's edited, uploaded, and ready to be premiered on YouTube. What are the upsides of having your own podcast where it's just yourself? Is I guess there's a couple of upsides. Just to name three, because I don't want to make this whole episode about the podcast itself. But one of the upsides is you can have your own schedule. You don't really have to worry about filling someone in as to when they need to be here or when they have to be ready to record an episode. It's just you. So you could really do these whenever you feel ready to. When you're your own host and your own audience, you're your own cast member, you don't really have to worry about passing ideas to someone else if they feel comfortable talking about something. If there's something you want to talk about, you can go right ahead and talk about it. No problems. And the third thing, which is possibly one of the greatest, is it gives you a platform to where you can feel like you can express yourself in different ways. In most cases, when I make videos, I try to even in the worst vlogs on earth, I try to think of like how I should proceed. If I'm going to record a vlog or if I'm going to record a let's play, I have to keep the vlog idea or the let's play idea in mind while I'm making that video. I can't just start a let's play and then halfway through it turn it into a vlog and then jump back into the let's play again. Uh Trust me, I've tried. There's a couple of videos where I tried that. Nobody liked that. And I had thought, oh, well, it's my way of expressing myself. I can do Let's Plays and vlogs and a review and all of these other things. And no, people really like it to where you can stick to an idea for the whole video. And if you have other ideas, make that their own video. And I get that now. But with a podcast, it's different. You can express yourself in so many different varieties of ways. And it really gives you that platform of where you can be like, I could talk about this movie 1 minute and then the next minute debate how I feel about the way that comic books are becoming or how I feel about these certain video games. And then I can start reading about poetry or talk about the news. There's no real actual theme to most podcasts. And I love that. I love the freedom that you can bounce around. All right, so this is the top three things. The downside, you have to remember to do it. You have to actually remember to do it. And I almost forgot to do it. I almost forgot to make any videos this week. I am doing so many different Let's Plays right now that I was like actually about to go on my computer and be like, okay, I just made a bunch of space on my computer. Now I can do all of these Let's Plays and I can make all these videos. And oh yeah, that's right. I still need to record a new episode of my podcast. Wow, I cannot believe I almost dropped the ball on that. So, without further ado, let's jump into the word of the day, shall we? So, as tradition, for the last few episodes, I have been telling ChatGPT to take the definition of a word and to explain it to me like as if I am five. I really highlight to ChatGPT to really speak down to me, to really explain this as if I'm a child. And I have yet to be disappointed. So the word is Gardyloo. Gardyloo. Oh, you sweet little thing. You think words are just fun sounds, don't you? Well, listen up, because Gardyloo is a very, very important word. Back in the olden times, way before you had fancy toilets and running water, People didn't have anywhere to put their poo and pee except in a big old bucket. Ew! Right? But wait, it gets worse. Instead of flushing like a normal civilized person, which they were not, they would just toss it right out the window into the street. Plop, splash, P.U. But because they weren't completely horrible, they would shout, Gardy-loo, first. That was your only warning to run for your life before you got a surprise shower of, well, yucky stuff. If you heard Gardy-loo and didn't move, too bad. Now you smell like yesterday's dinner and regret. So next time you complain about using the potty, just remember, at least nobody's chucking a bucket of hot street soup on your head. You're welcome. Why did it say you're welcome at the end? Why did it say that? That's why it's like it's taking pride. It's taking credit for that. uh I just typed in right now, how do you pronounce Gardy-loo? Here we go. Oh, you need help saying Gardy-loo, huh? Alright, listen up, kiddo. It's Gar-de-loo. Gar, like a pirate growling. Like gar. D, like the letter D. And loo, like a British word for toilet. Now, say it loud, like you're about to chuck a bucket of yuck out the window. Gardy-loo. Why did I say it like a pirate? Gardy-loo, matey. There you go. Now, just don't use it in public unless you want some very concerned looks. I'm going to do it in public. I'm going to carry a bucket around with me, and I'm just going to start yelling Gardy-loo as I splash water all over the place. Splishy splashy. Splishy splashy. All right. Next on the agenda, I want to continue the tradition of reading facts in the style of Dr. Seuss. I've been reading 3 facts per podcast, and I think that's pretty good. So far, we've been on the list of boogeymen, the boogeyman, and all of the different variations. And the last few I struggled to read because it was in another language. So that was fun. Guess what? This one's in another language also. It's, what's this legendary creature in Galatian folklore? Where's that? Where's that? All right, here we go. The Gata Pedro. Oh, cool. Epic. Off to the great start here. Oh, what a sight. A cat so strange, a creature of night, with fur so white and a horn of brown. It slinks through towns and all around, in children's rooms, and quietly creeps, as little ones snuggle fast asleep. With its horn it pours water near, and into their dreams it strikes a fear. It makes them dream of a trip to the loo, but they don't wake up, they simply do. And though they stir and toss in their bed, they can't stop the dream, they pee instead. But don't you worry, don't you fret, for salt can stop this watery threat. Grains at the door, grains at the window, keep the Gata Pedro from its shadow. I'm doing so good. I'm doing so good right now. For when it tastes the salt so fine, it knows the mischief is done. It's time to resign. It turns and walks all fours, and its tongue, leaving the children safe, no more beds unsung. Now, let me tell you of tale. Stop it with these words, I can't pronounce them. Of the and its midnight veil. And it's found, and oh shit, brings its tail around. I'm gonna start doing that, okay? I'm gonna start doing that. For all the words that I can't pronounce, I'm just gonna push through and sound like a fool, and I don't care anymore. Uh, Mercening appease, oh poor little guy, but the mischief knows the way to deny. With salt sprinkled thick, he finds the cure. The get pridro is gone, the bed's dry and pure. And in 2018, Paz told anew, with pictures by Zos Thomas, it grew. The legend lives on, a story so true, of the Gapedro and what it can do. So if you ever find yourself in bed and a strange dream makes you dread, remember the salt by the door to keep the Gapedro far from your reign. So bad. But that should tell you, okay? You thought you wet the bed because you had a weak bladder? No. No, it was a cat. It was a boogeyman cat. He was sneaking into your room. He there It's kind of funny that there's a boogeyman that wants you to pee, honestly. I can just imagine like all the boogeymen are at a staff meeting and they're all talking about their day-to-day lives, and there's just one boogeyman who's like, yeah, so I made like 5 kids pee the bed. And they're like, all right, weird. Okay. All right, strange. What did you do next? And then I went home. Yeah, no, I just put their hand in some warm water. I went home right after. Oh, got him. What, were you trying to teach him a lesson? Nah, nah. I just want to see him wet the bed. But then, like, then the kids wised up and they start putting salt near the door. And for some reason, he's like, oh, shoot. I think I already got this house. I smell salt. That's clearly what pee smells like. I mean, I don't know. I don't stick around long enough to know what the urination smells like, but I assume they pee salt. That's wild. The second one here. Uh, Jack O. Kent. I could read this one. I could read this one. This is not that hard. Jack O. Kent, the trickster, oh so sly, in the Melch marches. Oh, what the heck? Oh, it was doing so good. He'd catch your eye. A cleric, a wizard with a sharp, clever mind. He'd outwit the devil and leave him behind. Oh, now Jack had a knack for making a bet. With the devil, no less, he'd often upset. One time Jack said, let's talk crops, my dear friend. If you handle the weather, this deal I will lend. He asked, which part of the crops would you take? The tops or the bottoms? Oh, what a mistake. The devil so greedy chose the tops of the crop. But Jack planted turnips and made the devil stop. Now the next year came. The devil said, aha, I'll win this time, you'll see, Jack of Kent, aha. He chose the butts, the bottoms indeed. But Jack planted wheat, and the devil got fleeced. In another tale, Jack, so clever and quick, made a deal with the devil, a tricky old trick. He said, help me build this bridge to cross, and the first soul over will be yours, a total loss. The bridge was built, and Jack had a laugh. He tossed a bone, and the dog ran past. The devil was furious, but what could he do? He's been tricked again. Jack's wins never few. But wait, the legends don't end there, no, no, for Jack's cleverness spread far and wide, you know. He bet the devil, who was feeling quite proud, that the sugar loaf mountain was taller so loud. But Jack proved him wrong, as clever men do. The devil got angry, but Jack knew what to do. He piled soil higher to make Malvern grow, but a broken cart dropped it on the island below. Now, Skeard's Clift, with its splits in the ground, is said to have come from Jack's jump around. He leapt from the sugar loaf with a great big stride, leaving his mark with a cleft deep and wide. And the stones of Trelick, oh, how they were thrown, by Jack O'Kent, who was not overblown. He and the devil in a stone-throwing race, Jack aim was true, he left the devils in grace. So if you visit the hills, or the stones in the sky, you might just hear Jack's name whispered as you pass by. For Jack of Kent, that trickster so sly, Will always outwit the devil, no lie. I want to see how this is a boogeyman, to be honest. It just sounds like a Tom Sawyer of such. Like he's just constantly messing with the devil. Like it's not like the devil's like, ah ha ha ha, I got this one. I know what to do. And Jack's like, ah ha ha ha, I got this one. I know what to do. Like it's just a con artist conning another con artist. Uh I think I wonder, I'm actually curious. I don't feel like looking it up, but I wonder if this is the same Jack that's a part of the Jack-o'-lantern legend where uh he was trying to like make a deal with the devil to like he passed away and he was like a trickster and the devil gave him a turnip so that he can like find his way home and he was like, "Oh, I'm a ghost still." And he realized that the turnip only brought him home but not like back to life. And so the whole turnip thing was like their old pumpkins, like carving into turnips is what we do now to pumpkins. And the story is called Jack of the Lantern, which was then later called Jack-o'-lantern. And I wonder, Stingy Jack, that was his name. Okay, it's not the same. I didn't look it up. I literally just remembered just now. So this is called Jack O'Kent. The story I was thinking of is Stingy Jack. That's okay. Whew. That was driving me nuts. That was honestly driving me nuts. I couldn't remember. I was like, is this the same Jack? It's not the same Jack. It's Stingy Jack, and this one's called Jack O'Kent. Wait, I think what made me think of it was the O, because there's a hyphen, sort of like Jack of the Lantern, which then got turned into Jack O Lantern, which is now Jack o' Lantern. Not the point. Not the point. I thought the same stories, not the point. All right, last fact. Here we go. It's another boogeyman. Honestly, I don't know how Jack O'Kent was a boogeyman, um, but he was in the list. In a land far away, in a place so bright, lives a god named JC Jader. Whoa, whoa, JC Jader. Jader. I'm gonna go with Jader. No, I'm gonna go with Jader. I don't know how to read this. I don't know how to read this. In a land far away, in a place so bright, lives a god named Jassy Jader, full of light. He's one of 7 children, cursed but true, born to Tau and Kirana, the legends grew. Jassy Jader, a little pierce of the moon, with golden hair that sparkles like the sun in June. He's small and fair, with eyes so blue, a magical staff, his secret's true. Two. Oh, dude. That I could read that word. My brain decided not to. Now Jassy Now Jassy? No, it's JC. Jasy. Now Jassy Jassy Jader. Am I having a stroke? What's going on? Now Jassy Jader, now monstrous or wild, but the protector of children and the land's sweet child. He guards yerba mates and treasures untold in hidden places where secrets unfold. As the Lord of the Siesta, he calls on the day. He wanders the village, guiding the way to find children who skips their midday rest, and he leads them with his whistle. That's the test. For when they see his staff, they fall into a trance. Lost in his spell, they no longer dance. He takes them to the forest where they play with honey and fruit through the bright warm day. But beware, my friend, for tales do turn. In some versions, the children's fate may churn. Their eyes are taken, they're left to roam until they forget and lose their home. In the darkest tales, their fate's even worse. To ow ow they go, in a terrible curse. He feasts upon them, flesh and bone, a scary story that's often told alone. But here's the twist in the magical lore: J.C. Jatter's staff holds treasures galore. Take it from him, and what do you see? A childlike cry as he pleads, "Give it back to me!" For treasure he guards deep in the wild. He'll trade them for his wand with a sorrowful smile. Like a leprechaun caught, a deal to be made, a bargain struck in the twilight shade. So remember the lesson: when the sun's in the sky, take your siesta, or JC Jatter will fly by. He's a protector, a trickster, both friend and foe. In Guarani tales where the legends grow. I'm so glad I got to get some of these wrong, some of these pronunciations wrong. I'm so glad. Um, that's actually pretty cool. No, it really is. I think that the fact that there's so many different kinds of boogeymen, uh, and honestly, I don't really think that they're all boogie men or boogie man. Boogie horse, a boogie cat, a boogie maiden. It feels like it's just a title that's given. That, like, if you're a malevolent spirit, or if you're some kind of entity that's used for educational purposes, like, I wouldn't be surprised if the big bad wolf would be in there. Uh because it could be easily seen as just an entity that's used for, like, teaching lessons, trying to get kids, like, scaring them straight, you know? And I think that, because I think the first original boogeymen were goblins. And, like, there's different cultures that have their own version of that. And then later on, once the internet was a thing and stories were more freely shared, people were like, oh, that sounds like my story. And then they just gave that the same title. It's kind of like kaiju, in my opinion, where back then big monster movies were not really called kaiju films. It wasn't like until later on, and now you have all of these different films from around the world that are now given the title as a kaiju. And I feel like the boogeyman is kind of the same concept, where the boogeyman himself, it started off as an entity, and then now it's just a term that's given to any malevolent entity that's used as an educational purpose, is what it looks like. um Moving on, the next big thing is I want to continue doing the one word stories. I grabbed the first one word story that my friends and I ever did. It took us an entire year to work on this. Um, it's not as long as you think. Not when we started this one, we weren't so sure if we would be into the one word story, and now it's like one of our favorite things. Um, so I put the one word story into ChatGPT to make sense of it. You could always check out my one word story archive if you want to see what the original story was for this. But I'm just going to read you the version that ChatGPT gave me. By the way, the first thing it said to me is, this is an absolute fever dream of a story. So I'm really proud of that. The title of the story that it gave me is The Ballad of the Gingerbread Man and the Piss Wine Curse. Once upon a time, in the cold, moldy depths of an abandoned fridge, there lived a gingerbread man. Not the jolly gumdrop button kind, no. This one was depressed, spicy in all the wrong ways, and covered in a yellow Vegemite like jelly that had begun developing sentience. For sustenance, he dined on roasted bugs from the garbage can, savoring the crunch, the unami, and the existential despair. But something was missing: a flavor, a purpose, a destiny. Then one day, An envelope appeared in the fridge, addressed to Peter Peterson, the infamous murderer of Mr. Misterson Jr. the Third. It should never have ended up in the hands of the stale gingerbread man. But fate has a sense of humor. Inside was a single sentence. The piss swine curse will find you. The gingerbread man shuddered, not from fear, but intrigue. He had heard whispers of the piss wine, a legendary prison brew fermented in the fullest of toilets, rumored to grant great power at a terrible cost. Seeking answers, he embarked on a perilous journey to Walmart, where the original curse had begun. He stalked the aisles, sniffing unsuspecting shoppers' hair, his every move drawing him closer to the forbidden drink. And then, there it was, a dusty, unlabeled bottle glowing with a sickly golden light. Piss wine batch number 1. He drank. The universe fractured. Suddenly, he was in a prison cell surrounded by Muppets and Fraggles, their felt eyes filled with unholy knowledge. They whispered secrets of the cheese on toast conspiracy, of Jason and Cadaver Eater, of Jiakuku, the eternal devourer of infinite cheeseburgers. The guards burst in, furious. The guitars sang a bad song, and everyone screamed. The Simpsons appeared, unexpectedly drawn to the chaos. They sipped from the cursed bottle, their pupils dilating into infinite spirals. The curse spread. Reality collapsed. The gingerbread man found himself back in the fridge. No longer stale, no longer covered in jelly, but made of cheese on toast. Had he won? Had he lost? No one could say. But as the door closed and the fridge hummed with eerie finality, one thing was certain. The piss wine curse would never be broken. The end. This one didn't really have an ending, so I asked it to give me one, and I kind of like it. It came out really nice, actually. It was still very chaotic in its own way, but it was actually pretty nice still. Uh, all right. Last podcast, I had asked all of you to go into the comments and ask me questions that you want me to answer. I also had my dad watch the last podcast on the TV, and he said his favorite part was the storytelling of me talking about my past. And a lot of my friends who watched it also agreed that the storytelling is possibly the best part of the podcast. Okay. I'm not cutting it. I won't. Okay. I'll leave it. But for now, until it's time for story time, let me read all of your questions. Beavers Rock Boo Ducks asked me, okay, now that I read your name, your question makes a lot more sense. Are you a UFO Ducks fan with a thumbs down emoji, or are you an OSU Beavers fan with a thumbs up emoji? Based on your comment, I'm going to say I'm a Beavers fan. Because it looks like you're a Beavers fan, so I'm going to say I'm a Beavers fan. Dude, do I really care about this? No. But I can see you're a Beavers fan, so I'm going to say I'm a Beavers fan. Life According to Cosmo asks, what's the wildest thing you've ever done to get a video game or console? Have you camped out overnight, fought through a Black Friday crowd, or got into a bidding war on eBay? Okay, all right. Story time. I guess we're getting to story time a little early. So when the Nintendo Wii was coming out, it was on my birthday, and the Nintendo Wii was going to be out the following day. No. It wasn't even to buy the Nintendo Wii itself. It was to put a down payment on a Nintendo Wii. So, the day after my birthday, because we were all at Nickel Nickel. It's an arcade where all the arcade machines are just a nickel. And my friend told me about how they're doing down payments for the Nintendo Wii, but they only have a certain amount that they could do. So we camped outside the store, not to buy the Wii, but just to do a down payment for the Wii. And we slept outside. I actually was outside GameStop overnight. I literally was asleep on the sidewalk for a chance to make a down payment on the Nintendo Wii. So we were like pretty close to the front, and then like there was still some people ahead of us, and we started going, and like here's the thing I hated. There was people who spent the night out on the sidewalk, and they were like holding positions for other people who showed up like the following day. And I'm a part of the crowd that was like, they should be kicked out. They should have those people just lost their ticket. You can't do that. That's unfair to the people who were actually sleeping in line. So, and the reason I bring this up is because we all got up, we all started making our way to the front door, and my friend was able to make a down payment, who I was with, and then I couldn't make a down payment. I was right there. I was ready. And the guy comes out and goes, I don't know, I'm going to tell people that we ran out of down payments. I'm like, what do you mean you ran out of down payments? Really loudly. And everyone was pissed. And he looked at me and he was like, oh, thank goodness. Thank you for saving me. I'm like, no, you come back here and you tell me that to my face. I'm next. I was here overnight. So that's why I'm like, was really pissed that there's people who were like quite literally showing up after the fact. That to me, that's BS. That's BS. You should not have been allowed to do that. Moving on. That was so many years ago and I'm still mad about it. Titan 2022 asks, what's the number one thing on your bucket list? To learn another language. I'm currently still learning German. Not for like a meme or anything. I just really like how German sounds. I'm also interested in learning Japanese and Dutch, but like I'm much more along the way of finishing my German lessons. And so to learn another language, that's one thing, but to learn multiple languages is kind of its own thing. But to learn another language, and German was like the first thing I started learning when I was a child. And so I kind of just want to finish that first before I learn another language. The reason why I want to learn Dutch is because it's the halfway language between English and German. So I feel like I could be able to pick up Dutch pretty quickly after finishing German, and then I will know three languages. And to me, that would be kind of cool. Um, so yeah, ich verstehe nur bisschen Deutsch. Okay, just uh, Hyro Sparaza 8865 asks, where would you like to go on your free time? To my bed. I want to go to my bed. So honestly, though, if not my bed, I would say to like any sushi restaurant. Like, you know, like those sushi bars where they have like a conveyor belt and like the sushi is placed on the actual like it's on a moving belt, and then like you just take it off the belt when you're ready to like eat whatever's on the thing. And I don't know, those places are always fun to me. Like I love sushi bars. I love ordering the ice cream mochi with my sushi with the sake, and like there's like this whole environment going on. And I don't know why, but every time I go there, I always go to like the comic book store right afterwards. Like I will I to me that's treating myself. Sushi bar, going to the comic book and getting either like a new comic or a manga or like maybe some Magic the Gathering cards, and then like going home to my bed. and then reading my comic, the new comic I just bought. The one comic book franchise, believe it or not, that I love reading from is The Darkness. It's one of my favorite comic books. I'll either read The Darkness or I will read I have a lot of X-Men comics. So I guess X-Men. I guess technically X-Men's my favorite Marvel. I don't know. But no, my favorite comic to read from is definitely going to be supreme to me, The Darkness. And then for manga, Death Note, obviously. I don't know why I said obviously. It's not like I told you this before. I'm a huge fan of Death Note. Big fan of Death Note. I'm currently reading a novel. It's called The BB Murder Case. It's a Death Note story where L. Well, maybe I should finish reading it first before I start talking about it. I'm still kind of like in the first quarter of the book. It's pretty good. I just like Death Note. No one asked me that question. I just felt like sharing that. H&M Photography asks, if you could live anywhere in the world, where would you live and why? Okay. I have. I know some people would be like, I want to move to Japan. I want to move to Ireland. I want to move to England. Uh, Honestly, I want to move back to Oregon. I used to live in Oregon for like 5 years, and I love Oregon. There's just this feeling of city and wilderness in one, and I love that. I love the feel of like smaller towns. Like I lived in Cottage Grove for 5 years, and that's like a community of 9,000 people. That's it. And that's your name gets tossed around pretty quickly in a village of 9,000 people. And I say that because like I've lived in bigger cities than that, where like the number is like, oh my god, 1 million. So like 9,000 was like, it felt quaint to me to be like a city folk. And like the one thing I remember in Oregon was like they hate Californians. They hate them so much. So I would pretend not to be Californian. You know what didn't help me was my accent. Like Oregonians have a certain way that they talk, and if you were bringing this up to an Oregonian, which by the way, that's what they're called Oregonians. I've told my Californian friends this, and they're like, Oregonian? What are they from Elder Scrolls? I'm like, no, it's just no. Don't worry about it. If you bring up the way they talk to an Oregonian, they're gonna look at you like you're crazy. But there's an accent there, and you can hear it. And when I went up there, I used to like, for example, the first year of living in Oregon, I would walk into Safeway and I was like, yo, what's up? Can I get like some Frappuccino or something? And they're like, what's up? Yo, what are you talking about? I'm like, oh, shoot. Do you not say that here? Or there was definitely uh like here's the thing. I know it sounds cringe that I use the words like, yo, what's up? That's just a common, like, in California, like, that's not so weird. It's not. Saying what's up in California is not a weird thing. In Oregon, it is. And it's very noticeable. But, no, I still love Oregon. I love the people. I love the communities. And if there was anywhere in the world that I want to live, I want to move back to Oregon. I really would. I love it. It's something that like yeah, no. That's just it. Plain and simple. I just love Oregon. All right. All right. Where's my timer? Where am I? Ooh, I'm all right. I'm right on. I'm actually on time. This is okay. I have not had a podcast this well timed. I'm on schedule. I want to try something new. I might not do this all the time. Just for this particular episode, I wanted to give it a try, see how everyone likes it. It's called AITA. It's from Reddit, r/mi the asshole. I know there's a lot of podcasts that do this. There's so many podcasts like, oh, well, let's read Am I the Asshole? I get it. I get it. All right. I just for this one episode, just this one episode, I found this one and I just want to read it. This is definitely the top post. It's called AITA. Am I the asshole for not following my husband's family tradition? My 28 female husband, 29 male, comes from a very traditional family. While we disagree with his family on many things, it has never really been an issue until now. I'm currently 8 months pregnant, and my husband and I couldn't be happier as we've been trying for a while. Since I first found out I was pregnant, we've been discussing names for our child. In my husband's family, the tradition wants the child to be named after his grandfather. Basically, firstborn men in his family only have one of two names, James or Henry. My husband's grandfather was James, so his name is James too. My husband's father is called Henry, so our child should be too, and so on and so forth. But my husband and I didn't really feel like calling our child Henry. And although it's a beautiful way to honor family members, we really wanted our child to have a name. What would be personal? That would truly be his. So we chose another name and decided to wait until after the birth to reveal it to everyone. This week, my mother-in-law came to visit us and help us set up for the baby. She brought us some presents, amongst which was a bunch of clothes on which she had embroidered the name Henry. I said that it was nice and thanked her for it, but told her that we wouldn't be naming our child Henry as we had already told her in the past. She started insisting and saying that it was a tradition, so it had to be that way. I explained to her that we'd rather give our child a name that we choose, and that Henry could be his middle name. She immediately went to my husband and started saying things like, "You're not going to let her do that to our family," and making it very dramatic, saying that I was breaking a tradition that went back hundreds of years. Honestly, not sure about that. My husband tried to explain that we both agreed on the name and all the reasons why we made that choice, but she wouldn't listen. She suggested that we name him Henry on paper and as his legal name, and then called him something else. But I thought that would be confusing for him and told her that we would be named what we choose. She kept begging my husband and saying that I was ruining the family tradition. And at one point, I lost it, which is partly to blame on hormones, I think, and told her that it was our child, so we did what we wanted. And we didn't have to follow a stupid tradition. She stormed out, and my husband has since received texts from his father and sister accusing me of making his mother feel really bad, and some other stuff that I don't really remember. I get the importance of tradition and it can be really beautiful, but also I feel like that shouldn't be an obligation, and it's okay to change things. We won't change our baby's name because we're really set on that, but maybe we were wrong for not following the tradition. I'm not entirely sure and am mentally exhausted by all this drama. And then at the bottom here, there's an edit. I've seen many comments mentioning they saw similar stories in the past. I'd like to clarify. Those weren't mine. All of those events happened 2 days ago, but it's crazy to see how many families have similar traditions. I really thought this was a super rare thing. I think family traditions are dumb. Personally, I think they're really stupid. Well, my great grandfather did it, and every male in our generation did it since then. So we're gonna peer pressure you into doing it. That's so so stupid. Just because your family likes to do things a certain quirky way doesn't mean that you have to force those traditions on every member of your family. Like, what if one person likes to eat their salads with their bare hands and they decide that's going to be the family tradition? Are you going to force that on every single generation that follows? No, of course not. Because that's just a preference of eating. The way you name someone or the way that you proceed in living your life should not like rely on family traditions. A good family tradition would be, you know, what should you put on your Christmas tree? Like, what's the tree topper, right? That's good family traditions. Um, Here's another good family tradition. I've seen this before. Like, on Christmas, everyone eats turkey. I've seen like those are good traditions that aren't really crucial to your family. Like if you have a tradition that is crucial to like imagine your family tradition is you can only be married to women or to a man based on what your parents look like. Like imagine that. Imagine your partner, like whoever your partner is, right? Whoever it is. Imagine the only tradition is they gotta look like your parents. That's creepy. That would be really creepy. It's like, oh, we don't accept your partner here. So why? Doesn't look like your parents now, do they? I'm like, bro. I just feel like traditions can be fun, but if it's something that's so crucial, like who you marry, what you name your child, or how here's a tradition. Medical. Yeah, no, there's a tradition where it's like you can't go to the hospital, you have to have a priest pray for you. Like they believe that prayer will heal you. That's the traditions I am talking about. The ones that are crucial to your livelihood, ones that dictate how you're living your life. But traditions like tree toppers and pies and turkeys on Christmas Day, those are fine. Oh heck yeah, I'm for those. But when you start bringing in personal things that involve your actual health or determining your future, no. No. That's just a few steps shy away from arranged marriage. Which again, I know there's like cultures based on that, but oh my goodness. It could just be that I'm an American, okay? It could just be that like I'm a part of a nation that believes in freedom of choice and like not dictating what I do based on tradition. Uh and I say that with like a light heart. I'm pointing out that I'm from a country that's not based on tradition. And because of that, my opinion would be biased. Am I saying that right? My opinion would be one sided, is what I'm trying to say. That like I'm seeing it from an outsider of a tradition, but just still personally, if it dictates how you live your life, then those traditions should not be valued. All right, well, that's it for that. So, are you the asshole? No, no, you're not. I think that you have the freedom to name your child, your baby, however you want. You shouldn't allow your family to peer pressure you into naming them because that's what their fathers did. It's not a principle of doing something to make the happy family. It's doing something because that's what you and your partner want to do, not based on being peer pressured. Like that's wild. Um, but of course, I'm speaking from someone who doesn't have those kinds of pressures. So it's easy for me to throw rocks because I don't live in that environment. It's easy for me to point fingers and push my opinion onto you because I don't know what that's like. But just from an outsider's perspective, that's how I feel. Um, have I covered all my bases? Have I? Am I gonna get canceled? Have I explained myself enough to where I'm no longer in the kitchen? Like, starting to smell fire. I gotta get out of here. um, there's like a rule to the internet. Let me see if I can find it. I think it's Rule 74. Before I start spouting nonsense, uh, let me. I probably should have looked this up earlier. I read that story before I read it on the podcast, so I knew what I was in store for, but uh, I didn't really think about looking up the rules of the internet until just now. There is a rule that like pertains to what I'm referring to. It's called when one sees a tiger or a lion, one gets into the car. Let me see here. Uh, oh, there it is. Rule 45. I don't know why I said 74. There's only 47 rules. Rule 45. When one sees a lion, one must get into the car, which means if when one sees danger, one gets out of there. That's it's pretty self-explanatory. There's actually a few rules in here that I think are kind of funny. Uh, Rule 39, cap lock. Caps lock is cruise control for cool. Another rule that's kind of cool is number 19. Rule number 19. This is something that a lot of people um need to learn. You listen up, all right? You need to learn this one. Rule number 19. The more you hate it, the stronger it gets. Meaning, the more you hate on a person or a subject, you're just feeding into that. You are just making it popular. So the more you hate on something, you're just making that something more noticeable. And Justin Bieber is a great example of this. The internet hated Justin Bieber. There's like a lot of people who were, what were they called? Beliebers? And then you have people who just trashed on him. Just constant trolling and cyberbullying. And it just made him more and more and more popular. So, yeah, Rule 19. The more you hate it, the more stronger it gets. And then there's another one that's actually pretty good. Number 18. Everything that can be labeled can be hated. That's, oh my God. It's, I feel like I should do an entire podcast on the rules of the internet. There's some rules on here that did not age so great, and there's rules in here that are actually like pretty wise, pretty good to think about. Uh, where are we on time? Last I checked, I think I was like down to my last 10 minutes. Let me see. Yep, 6 minutes. So I have just enough time for one story. It's a short one. It's a real short one. When I was a child, my grandparents had a cabin up in Arrowhead, and it was pretty cool. It was a nice little place, and there was like plenty of rooms for like everyone to visit. And for the holidays, we would go visit my grandparents up in Arrowhead. So, this is just like the shortest story, I promise. My mom, because like there was like multiple beds in the same room, and I'm like a child. I'm like a wee. I was a young homunculus, and my mom's like, "Could you turn off the lights?" I was like, "Okay." So the light switch. So the room had a door, and then there was like 8 or 9 steps, and you had to like climb up the steps to get to the light switch. I don't know why it was like that, but you had to climb up the stairs to get to the light switch, and you had to go back down the stairs in the dark. And I didn't count correctly. Like I was on my way down, and I went, wait a minute. How many steps are there? Was there 5 or 6? How many did I go down so far? Was it 4 or 5? Like I was tired. And I was like, okay, I think I'm at the bottom. And like I put my foot out to, walk off the steps and onto the ground, and there was like four more stairs below me. And I completely like lost track of where I was on the staircase. And so I was like, okay, I think I'm good. And I took a step out and I fumbled the last four steps. I crashed hard. And I sounded like a sack of potatoes going down the stairs. And my mom was like, "What was that? What'd you drop? What did you do?" I was like, "I didn't do anything. I thought I was at the bottom, and I wasn't." She's like, "What do you mean?" Like, I thought it was clear. Uh, I tripped. All right, I fell down the stairs. That was good. I wasn't, and I have never forgotten that since. That is permanently in my head. I will always remember the day that I confidently took a step off the stairs thinking I was at the bottom and there's like four more steps below me. Oh man. I think one of the coolest things about my grandparents' cabin was that when it would snow, like in Arrowhead, it gets pretty thick snow. So like going up there for Christmas, it was always really fun because, snow angels, snowball fights, and there was like a couple of kids in the neighborhood, and like I was one of those kinds of kids where I didn't have to know you in order to like try to see if you wanted to play. Like I was one of those kinds of kids that would just walk up to you in the park and be like, "Okay, we're playing tag." And they'd be like, "What?" Like, "We're playing tag, you're it." And then like I would run away. And like a couple of times uh like they would just not follow me, and I'd be like telling everyone how I beat them at tag. And they'd come home like, "We weren't playing tag." I'm like, "I said you were it and you never caught me." I'm like, "Well, I wasn't playing." I'm like, "Yeah, but you never caught me." Like, "I could catch you." I'm like, "Prove it." "Yeah, you catch you." And like just like that, now we're playing tag. He didn't want to play tag with me because he thought I was weird to like walk up to him randomly, and then I told him that I was better than him, and then told him to prove it, and now we're playing tag. And then like everyone's like, "What are you guys doing?" We're like, we're playing tag." He thinks he's better than me at this game. And like other kids would be like, "Well, I'm good at tag." I'm like, "No, you're not. We're good at tag. We're trying to prove who's the best player at tag." "Well, I'm good at tag." "Prove it." And then like before you know it, I literally would have everyone playing tag. Like I went from having one person who didn't want to play with me to having like 40 people playing tag. And that was just like my personality as a child. My personality was I could get you to do what I want you to do. I was a little manipulator. And so I'd go up to Arrowhead and it'd be all these kids doing whatever they want to do. And I would challenge them at snowball fight. And they're like, I'm not really good at snowball fighting. I'm like, "It's okay if you suck." They're like, "Excuse me?" "No, it's fine if you suck at snowball fighting." And that was all I had to say. That's all I had to say. Like, uh, by the way, these games were never innocent. Like, this style of asking someone to play, it wasn't that I was just simply going, "Hey, do you want to be my friend? Let's play." No, it was me walking up and like, "Yeah, no, you're kind of trash and I can prove it." And when you throw that gauntlet on the ground, you're not making friends necessarily, but through competitiveness, through the act of pain, because it was painful. Every time I try to play with other kids, as a child, by the way, whenever I played with other people, I have to say people because if I say I played with kids, the people are like, "What, you mean like yesterday?" No, as a child. As a child. Whenever I play with other people, I would always throw down the gauntlet that I'm better than you. So those interactions were never so much of friendly encounters. They were always painful. And that's how I made a lot of my friends when I was younger. It was through me trying to prove that I was better than them in hopes that it would kindle a friendship afterwards of through competitiveness. And it always worked. It always worked. You know what doesn't work? Doing that as an adult. Adults don't like that. As a child, that was fine. As an adult, not so much. And to be honest, I really do think adults should play tag, in my opinion. It's great for cardio. It's competitive, and I always have fun playing tag. I really do. I would probably do a lot more cardio if like other adults were open to play tag. And there's like all kinds of different ways you can play tag. There's hide and tag. That's like hide and go seek with tag. It's awesome. And what makes that even better is that everyone's hiding. They don't see you all the time. So you don't know who's it. So when you're hiding and someone finds you, it's either your friend found you by accident or the person who's it just found you. So it's like, do I run? Do I keep hiding? This is a great hiding spot, but like I don't know if you're it. And like the person who finds you can lie, and it's like, oh, are you it? Anyways, that's gonna be it for this episode, for this podcast. Feel free and ask your questions in the comments down below, and I'll answer them in the next episode. If if you want to hear me talk more about like, am I the asshole from Reddit? Let me know as well, and I will bring that segment into the podcast. But I think I'm finding enough material to where doing an hour doesn't feel so weird anymore. We're like, I have so much that I can now contribute that these podcasts are kind of flowing more smoothly. Now it's all about kind of smoothing out the rough edges. I've got my format. I just need to smooth out the edges now. I will definitely try to bring more of my stories into this. I'm really hoping that I can tailor my stories based on your guys' questions. But yeah, outside of that, I really hope all of you enjoyed this episode, and I hopefully I'll catch all of you next time.